right, I'm going to officially call to order the Tuesday, February 19th meeting of the Bolton Conservation Commission, and as always, we'll start with a roll call. I am Brian Barabee.
I'm Jeff Bryan.
Emily Winter, Laura Stevenson,
Kit McNamara.
Bill Payne.
Rebecca Longwell.
All right, and first up tonight, the Bolton Conservation Commission will now hold a public hearing under the provisions of Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, and under the Bolton Wetland Bylaw, Chapter 233, to consider a notice of intent submitted by Molly Obendorf of Stamsky and McNary, Inc., regarding the proposed construction of a single-family home and associated septic system on 31 Nashway Road, within 100 feet of the buffer zone. The public meeting to be held this evening. Rebecca, is there an update on this?
Yes, the applicant has requested a continuance until our next scheduled meeting because the DEP number has not been issued yet.
All right. I guess I'd like to make a motion that we continue the public hearing for 31 Nashway Road until our next public meeting, Tuesday, March 6th, or Wednesday, March 6th, 2019 at 7?
Yep.
Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
So continued. Did everybody have a chance to look at the minutes? I've read through it. Oh, you guys didn't.
No, that's
They're-
fine,
they're-
that's fine.
And I looked at them already. I saw them in the email.
As I said, I tried to actually read through the email. This one I actually did.
I
Had
tried
no
not to
issues.
send too many emails this time, even though there were still.
They're all clustered right at the end.
Yeah.
The Conservation Commission folder, just
Right.
Yeah.
which gets pretty
Take
big.
the star on that, get to it later.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Any questions regarding minutes? All right, in that case, I would like to make a motion that we approve the minutes for our, I can't remember the date.
19th.
Thank you. February 5th, 2019,
Oh, sorry.
meeting, as drafted and submitted.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
So approved. Do you wanted to update on keys quick?
Oh, sure. So in your packets, you have the Danforth Brook remediation plan. So basically what it says is they are proposing to put a flotation barrier in the brook because everything's settled basically in a corner, but along the bank in one confined area that we know of before the ice melts. And then also in the outlet side of the channel. And this is again back to January 24th when they had the silt fence had been undermined by the runoff coming across the entirety of the lot into the area where Basin 1 should be. Now Basin 1 has been constructed, so we shouldn't run into that again, but it ran that way. Then under Hudson Road into Danforth Brook. So this is Danforth Brook. We will need to either decide to approve it, authorize me to approve it on behalf of the commission, or go back to them to discuss items if necessary. And then at that time, once we are comfortable with the plan, then they will bring it to the property owner because it is a private property owner. And then they will condition it how they want between the two of them.
All right. Personally, I think it would make sense to empower Rebecca to approve it.
Yeah.
Rather than having them come and try to hash it out in a meeting, it seems like you being in the field off and on would make more sense to be able to condition it. People generally fine with that?
Mhm.
Sure.
Is that fine? Do we need a roll call vote, or can we just
That
go?
would be helpful.
Okay.
And what they have suggested within this is basically what was discussed with myself, the town planner, a representative from Keys Farm with their engineer, and Mass Fish and Wildlife was present as well. Because it's a cold water fishery and we wanted to establish that there wouldn't be any further damage if there was damage.
Right. So, if we do a roll call vote, it would be to empower Rebecca to, I was gonna say authorize, it's not so much, we'll authorize the remediation plan,
Yep.
changes to the Keys Farm remediation plan as necessary.
Sure.
All right, so if I were to say that, a yay vote meaning, yes, you would like to authorize Rebecca, nay saying no. We vote on that, and I'm just gonna go around. We can start Bill.
Yay.
All right, Kim.
Yay.
Yeah, all right. Emily,
Yay.
yes.
Yay.
All right, yay as well. I didn't think about that with having to work with the neighbor.
Yep, it's actually the woman who donated the land last
On zoning.
Christmas, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yep, so she's been wonderful, but at first was obviously disgruntled and upset, which I don't blame her.
Yeah.
And there was basically just a very general summary sent initially, and I had a phone conversation with her to just explain, we're not approving anything, we can't force them to go on your property, it's between you and them, but at the end of the day, it needs to be within regulatory standards as well. It can't just be, they can't just go out and do what they want. And the commission will have to approve the plan, whether she issues it first or if the engineer comes up with it, so.
And she owns this land here?
Yep.
Isn't there a house back there somewhere?
It's
More that
both
way.
ways, more the other way.
Yeah.
So it's on the other side of the property? It's on the,
It's on the opposite side
of
of the donated property?
no, opposite side of the project.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm not an engineer, but that thing still didn't look too, I mean, when I went by it, a couple of days ago, when it was, you could see the dirt, it still didn't look
Oh,
strong.
I mean, it's all exposed, there's,
Yeah.
so the basins aren't in their permanent state right now, there's still a little bit of, I guess, material to be moved around, but they're to the best state, and it's been, those stormwater structures had oversight from the town inspector, because that's a little beyond my purview.
It still looked like dirt,
Oh, it is.
which is,
It's
which
gonna
is
look
what
like
it
that,
is.
that's what I'm saying.
Which is what it is, but I mean, it's, you
Yeah,
know,
just so long as it's not a dirt pile moving into the resource.
moving
area,
into the brook, yeah.
that's fine. And then, so Tinker Garden, I received an email from Tinker Garden, which I did not know what it was at first, and they had been requesting to use Bower Springs for Tinker Garden, which
Is there
is,
somebody locally doing that?
for Central Mass, I think, but not in Bolton.
It's Tinker Garden.
So,
Outdoor learning program.
yeah, it's an outdoor learning program. It looks great and up the alley of what we would be encouraging typically, but I did note, I said it has to be approved by the Conservation Commission. The other thing is we don't have a policy for holding events on conservation land. We have one drafted that myself and the town secretary have been working on, but realistically we don't, and I spoke to a few other towns, and typically it's unless it's funding conservation activities within the town, typically it's a practice on conservation property not to have for-profit events. And Tom Denny being an exemption because it is conservation, but at the same time, would we have someone out of town be paying a fee where we don't have Tom Denny pay a fee and they're conservation minded because within the town they work with us? So it sort of just rolls into this ball of unanswered questions and policies that we need to have in place first. But this could also be a good trial period for that. And they were just interested to see, A, if it was possible, and B, if not in Bower Springs, where could they hold it? Because I did mention as well, it's one of our highly used properties, we already have a camp there, there's already a large impact just from use, and had suggested Fifeshire, and there was another one I suggested that I can't remember. But anyways, I suggested two others and stated, Fifeshire, they have a pond, it's fairly level as well. And just tried to direct them to other less used properties,
Is
just,
it adult or?
Children.
It's like
Yep.
ages 4 to 6,
Yeah.
maybe younger even, 3 to 6.
What are they gonna do? How many?
They'll do things like, they'll bring all their own materials, but they might make like mud pies.
Oh, excellent.
Right.
Or it's just like outdoor nature learning,
Mhm.
like hour-long classes, I think.
Are they requesting exclusive use of the area, or it'll still be open to other people too?
It would still have to be open, we can't close it to the public. There's, Bower Springs is the only one that wouldn't need, that we would have the possibility of closing to public because it was donated as it is. And then we have our regulations, and our regulations say that you need to request permission to do things outside of what's stated in those regulations, in terms of use, so. That's the only one that has a little bit of wiggle room.
Was it an ongoing series, or was it like one class here, or a series of classes?
It sounded like an ongoing series, so similar to Tom Denny Nature Camp, where it can either be a couple weeks where it's used, or they have programs that run throughout the year as well.
It's a good one.
And that, it doesn't have to be decided tonight, but just, I didn't know what everyone's first thoughts were, if we wanted to reach out and have someone come in and talk about it during our next meeting, I can do that as well.
That might be a good idea.
Yeah, I don't, just letting them hold a class out on public property is probably not a good thing, without knowing exactly what their agenda is.
Yeah.
Yeah, they could be water skiing or something.
Yep.
And it sounds like it's a good program,
Yeah.
that's, I just wanted
You
to
know
research and see
My
exactly
friend
what
does
it
it
is.
in Andover, yeah.
Oh, cool.
If it is
So
what
maybe
you
that's-
say it is, I think it's a good program.
Mhm.
It is, and
Yeah.
it's not like 50 kids showing up, it's like 8 to 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
pretty
but-
small, yeah.
I'd be curious what Andover does, and I don't know if we can reach out to anyone there, if it's just through like a public lands policy they have, if
Yeah,
they just
Right.
have like an ongoing thing, what they've found, just how other towns handle that, and I guess we should review those,
draft policy.
Yeah.
Email those.
yeah,
Yeah.
time to go through them again.
Mhm.
And every time something like this comes up, we say, like, we know we'll have more.
Right.
Yeah, it's probably, we know
What we're doing.
Yeah,
So-
and we're like, you're gonna have more of these, we should really get those things in
Well,
place.
One
and-
town says, well, I do it in Bolton, okay, well, then you get another town.
Right.
I'm
Yeah.
surprised someone wants to come from out of town, like, and not just use conservation land in their town.
That's the way it was portrayed anyways.
Yeah,
Mm.
unless
They
somebody in Bolton is trying to start, cause it's like one of those programs that anybody, you just get trained to do.
So maybe it's someone from another town is training someone in
Yeah,
town possibly, and they
Yeah.
just didn't state that.
Yeah, no, I mean, like I said, I think it's just worth finding out more information right now, but.
yeah,
So I'll ask them to send a representative to the next meeting.
Or whatever meeting they can get there.
Yeah.
You know, maybe they can't get to the next meeting, there has to be another meeting, or,
Okay.
And if possible, see what some of the other towns do.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah, I
See
think
what
that,
other towns
I'll
want
do
to
that
see
as
what
well.
these, how they handle it, I think it sounds like a good thing, right? You get kids outdoors, it's a good thing.
Yeah, I
Say
think
it's
it
usually
sounds
the
great.
reviews of our.
you can bring your goats along.
You can bring the goats.
mhm.
Bring your kids.
You could become a Tinkergarten teacher.
Looks good on the
Yeah.
resume.
I think I'm really busy.
You sure?
Whatever day that was.
Alright. I don't know if anybody has any other Tom Denny ideas of projects for them.
I did not ask around, I was gonna ask around. We can find some.
Yeah.
I'm curious about, like I said, about the blazes on the.
So my
trails.
daughter was in junior in college. She had to make a box of insects that were, she was doing it, just a little complicated for her. But I thought if we could, well, I was thinking about this the other day, that if we could get some nets and do like an insect count around there, where they go out with these nets and collect bugs to find out.
Yeah,
what
like a
they-
BioBlitz.
Yeah, like a what?
A BioBlitz?
Yes, something like that.
What
That's
about,
exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah.
speaking of insects and mosquitoes, because they're prevalent around that pond,
This
what
year.
about like bat houses?
We could put some bat houses up there.
I don't think there are any, right?
No.
Just to help with mosquito
How old are
control?
the kids?
We're not talking about ticker
Well-
gardening.
No,
They're
no, no,
first
it-
through
They're like
like eighth,
sixth
right?
to eighth
Or-
grade,
Yeah.
Yeah.
sixth, seventh, and
Like
eighth
an
grade.
Big enough
elementary,
to
middle
make,
school.
if you gave them wood, they could build houses.
Oh, yeah, they built a bridge.
Yeah, they might be able to.
Yeah. Yeah.
They
you
need a
know.
little supervision.
A little
supervision.
supervision.
We'd be all caught.
Yeah, they are.
We had them out there last year, and it was amazing to me, you know, sixth, seventh, and eighth graders, how many of them couldn't really use a drill. You know, I was just, had to help them with
Yeah.
a,
Oh, I like that.
well, nobody in this crowd, of course, but I was just surprised that, you know, and there was actually a couple of the girls knew how to use it faster than the guys there, but.
Which is why they're going to Tom Denny Nature Camp to learn
Exactly.
skills they can
Good
use.
skills to learn.
Exactly.
Building bridges,
Like
literally
building bridges
building
and-
bridges.
Yeah.
Driving through. I had a call, and I emailed Rebecca on this, that there was somebody on Nextdoor that is doing a project where he or she, I don't remember his or her name, was had a after-school program where he took the fifth and sixth graders out to redline the trails. So I asked him to, you know, I sent him an email to ask him what the heck was going on, and he said he was gonna get back to me, and of course he hasn't. So, that might be something that, I don't know, I just thought it was kind of an interesting idea, it's being done at Harvard. I
What
say
does
Harvard.
redlining the trails mean?
Means going out on a trail with a map and redlining it. Okay, I did that trail, I did this trail, I did that trail, that's what they call redlining
Oh, okay.
things. But I thought it was a good idea, but yeah, he hasn't got back to me yet on it, so.
And what do they just kind of,
I guess it has some
Observations
program,
of
yeah, some program
how the
between
trail is and?
fifth and sixth graders go out and
I've never been on
march around the trails and then they get a badge.
Oh,
And
okay.
they're already trying to do that with the Trails Committee has a,
Well, it's not.
the Boy Scouts are trying to do a, red line, trying to give away a
They're gonna do it on all
badge,
trails.
for somebody who does all the trails and can prove
Wow.
it in Bolton. And how they prove it is they just tell us they did it.
Yeah.
They don't necessarily
You
have
can take a
to-
picture, you can take a
Well,
picture on the
You
trail.
have to write something about
Yeah,
the trail
yeah,
too,
right.
was working on, so.
But I mean, I thought this was kind of an interesting idea, so I wrote it back and I CC'd Rebecca without telling her what the heck the email was all
Yeah, I had no
about,
idea
which
what
is.
You need a good.
Typical.
It was a good backtrack.
Did
Anyway.
they say like, okay, on this trail, we saw certain things which were,
Right.
whether it's endangered species of plants or animals,
Yeah,
or this
something like that.
improvements on this trail would make it a lot more handicapped
I guess that's what they're
accessible,
doing.
something
These
of
are
that nature.
fifth and sixth graders, I don't know, you know, that's why I
They
asked,
have really good ideas.
Do
Mhm.
they?
Kids
Yeah,
have great
they do.
ideas.
they don't have money.
Yeah.
They do have good ideas.
No concept of money.
What?
No.
No concept of money.
No. Some of us adults have no concept of money either, but that's a different story.
All right, so real quick, the Bolton Conservation Commission will now hold a public hearing under the provisions of Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, and under the Bolton Wetland Law, Bolton Wetland Bylaw, Chapter 233, to consider a request for a certificate of compliance for 1 Century Mill Road, restoration plantings at the rear of the lot and on adjacent property. Rebecca, is there an update?
They have, because we had canceled the site visit, because of the snow cover, we couldn't see what we need to see. They have requested a continuance of the discussion until the next meeting, which will be March 6th.
All right.
Hopefully we'll get out there and see whether there is anything.
Any amount
So
of
as long as the snow
changes by
melts.
the day, yeah. All right, in that case, I would like to make a motion that we continue the public hearing for the request for certificate of compliance for 1 Century Mill Road till our next public meeting, March 6, 2019 at 7:15 PM.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
So continued. Any other updates? That's fantastic. We'll make the ZBA meeting indeed. All right, in that case, I would like to make a motion that we bring to a close the Tuesday, February 19th, 2019 meeting of the Bolton Conservation Commission.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. So closed. Right.